welcome to another edition of Cooking with Kacy. Today we're going to go back in our calendar and revisit the month of May. May's recipe was lettuce wraps. So this is a quick and easy recipe that we don't have to use any tortillas or anything like that with. So we're just gonna wrap our meat and our vegetables in lettuce. So the very first thing we're going to do is take our pound of hamburger and put into a skillet. And we're going to turn that onto a medium-high heat after we plug in the skillet. An important part of that. All right, so we're going to turn that on a medium-high heat. And then we're going to break up our hamburger. This is just a pound of lean ground beef. You can use whatever kind of ground beef you have. You can use ground turkey, ground chicken, even ground pork if you wanted to. So any ground meat product would work with this. Okay, so we're going to break that up. You don't want big pieces of the meat in our lettuce wraps. So we're going to let that start to cook. And we're going to come over and we're going to start chopping our vegetables. So I've got some green onion here. So I'm just going to chop the ends off. And then I'm going to go and just slice them. I've already washed these, right? We rinse them in cool running water. And here our hamburger is starting to sizzle. We'll get these chopped and then we're going to stir our ground beef and continue breaking that up into some small pieces. Okay, so we had 3 stalks of green onions. Yes. Okay. I'm going to continue to let that cook. So now I'm going to come in and just chop up my mushrooms. So I have 8 ounces of mushrooms here. So I'm just going to chop these up into some smaller pieces so they fit easier on the lettuce wrap. Don't want big chunks of the mushrooms. Get those good and chopped up. Just kind of a rough chop. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Mushrooms are a great filler. They add some fiber. They have vitamin D in them, which is really good, especially since a lot of us aren't getting outside and getting natural vitamin D from the sun. Mushrooms are a great way to get a little extra. And then I have a can of water chestnuts. Now I've already drained the juice out of these, so now I'm just going to chop them up. Now, if you happen not to like water chestnuts or maybe have trouble finding them, you can substitute celery in this instead of the water chestnuts, just to give it that little extra crunch. The water chestnuts are really yummy. They're fairly inexpensive. A can of them is, but all right. Just give those a nice little chop. Come back and give our ground beef a little stir. This is a super quick and easy meal to put together. I didn't do a whole lot of prep before we started. I just rinsed and drained our vegetables and water chestnuts. and pre-measured our liquid ingredients, our dry ingredients. Okay. Another couple of minutes and that should be ready to go. One of my favorite meals, if you all have ever seen me do a class before, do a demonstration, you know that I love a one-pot meal, and this is a one-pot meal. So I'm gonna do everything in this skillet. So we're gonna cook our ground beef in it, and then everything is going to get added straight into that skillet, so we don't have to dirty up any other pots or pans or bowls. Everything's gonna get added right in there, which is super convenient. Almost ready to go. Still have a few pink places in our ground beef. So we'll make sure we cook that all the way through so you don't see any more pink. You want to make sure that it's good and done to help prevent any foodborne illness. We always want to make sure that we cook our meat thoroughly. All right. About done. So I'm going to swap out this for my spoon. So once this is good and ready, we are then going to add our carrots, our mushrooms, our water chestnuts, our green onions, and our garlic powder. So all of that is going to get put in the skillet. So I need about 3/4 of a cup of shredded carrots. I'm just gonna grab about a handful there. Now I did go in and get the matchstick carrots that are pre-done for me. And I'm just gonna take my knife and give those a quick little rough chop. Just to kind of break up some of those really long pieces that are in there. I think we're about ready. Give this another stir. Now, because I'm using lean ground beef, I'm not having a lot of juice in my skillet. Now, if you were using a meat that has some more fat to it, you would definitely want to drain the excess juice from your cooked ground beef or whatever you're using. If you're using chicken or turkey, those are usually pretty lean, so you probably wouldn't have to drain those either. But if you're using some of the higher counts, like an 80-20 ground beef, then you probably definitely want to drain the fat from that. So. But if you can see, there's hardly any fat left in our skillet here. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So we're gonna go on and slide all of these veggies right in there. Got the different colors. So you know when we eat a rainbow of vegetables, we're getting different nutrients for our bodies. Okay. And then we're gonna go in and add in our garlic powder. Garlic powder is a great seasoning to use that's not gonna add any extra sodium or anything to our dish. But it really packs a punch when you're cooking with it and giving lots of flavor.
I wish I could smell that, Kacy.
It smells so good. All right, you all can see all those colors. We've got white and green and orange. And this makes quite a bit too, so if you're not having very many people to feed at your house, you could eat on this for, a couple days. It could be lunch, dinner. You could even put this in a freezer bag or a freezer container and freeze this for another meal later on. And then just throw it in the skillet when you're ready to eat it and warm it up and heat it through. All right. We've added that in there, and so we're just going to cook that until our vegetables are starting to get a little tender. And then we're gonna add in our soy sauce, red pepper flakes, ginger, and honey, and stir that for a couple of minutes. So it's gonna add a little sweetness from that ginger and that honey to this dish. This is gonna be super good. Now, if you're not a fan of spicy things, you might wanna leave the red pepper flakes out. And it's only 1/4 of a teaspoon, so it's not a lot of red pepper flakes, just enough to give it a little heat. But you could always leave those out if you don't want to put them in. All right. Give this another quick stir here, and then I think we're about ready. This is looking and smelling so good. I wish you guys were here to see this in person and give it a taste, but hopefully you can make this at home. You see how super easy and quick it is? Okay, so here we go. So we have 1/4 of a cup of low sodium soy sauce. Again, we're trying to keep the sodium levels down in our recipes. Okay, and then we're just gonna add in 1/4 of a cup, or 1/4 of a teaspoon of ginger. This is just ground ginger. And then our 1/4 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Okay, and then we're gonna give that a big stir. And then I'm gonna come back and add in my honey. Okay. All right, so I have a teaspoon of honey that we are going to drizzle in there. So if you notice, we use honey a lot as an added sweetener for things, just because it adds some sweetness, but it's not quite as bad as adding just a pile of sugar in there. So we know it's a little bit more natural source of sugar. Okay, so all that's in there. We're just gonna let this cook up. We want to make sure that those vegetables are nice and tender. This is almost ready to go. We are basically done here. This is super, super quick and easy, flavorful, healthy meal. And I'm going to show you how to plate this up. So I have some lettuce here. Now you can use romaine lettuce, leaf lettuce, which is just what this is. Just some leaf lettuce, and I have torn it off, washed the leaves to make sure that any little pieces of dirt or anything that were on there, I got off. So this is all we're gonna do. Right, so our lettuce leaf acts as our tortilla, right? Acts as our holder. And we're just gonna take some of that. And we're gonna add it in there. So look at that. So then you can roll up this lettuce leaf and have your meal just like that. So you don't need anything extra, and that just adds another vegetable that you're able to consume with this meal. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, anything that you'd like to see, I can probably find a recipe for that that we have at our disposal. We are getting into the fall months, so I hope to be able to do some soups, maybe some more slow cooker meals like we had last week with the pork. So watch for those. Keep watching the Bourbon County Senior Citizens Facebook page for more videos. Remember to like, share the videos so we can get more viewers to see these yummy and delicious recipes. I hope you guys enjoy. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.
This is the wrap. Isn't that beautiful? And you should smell it, because I can't even describe how good it smells. Thank you, Kacy.